aboard the Athletics Can't Wait Jets podcast, your nonstop shop for all things Jets. Now here are your hosts, Tim McMaster and Connor Hughes. Listen safely.
Can't wait.
I mean, everything is happening fast for me. The call came in, a lot of, things running through our minds and everything like that. So, we just played the call that the coaches called and got to execute, but you got to help us out at the same time, just being a better call at that spot.
That was Marcus May. After Sunday's game, the Jets may finally be turning on the coaching staff. After an emotional roller coaster ride in the fourth quarter, the Jets are 0-12, still on track for the number one overall pick in the draft. They lose to the Raiders 31-28. It was not easy, though. Tim McMaster here along with Connor Hughes and Marissa Morris. Thanks for joining us early in the morning. If you're joining us on YouTube, please subscribe to the show wherever you get your podcast. Give us a 5-star rating and review on Apple. A lot to get to. We'll talk about Greg Williams' play call, of course, late in the game. We'll talk about Sam Darnold, the running backs, the young running backs who played well. But first of all, we're recording early. It was an emotional day for everyone. Marissa, Connor, how are we holding up?
I'm rough. I need beauty sleep, man. I'm going to be honest with you guys. Like I did get the note that from Bree. She was talking about the podcast. She goes, "Can you not scream like you did last time?" I was like, you're gonna have to worry. You're not gonna have to worry about that today. I'm a little beat down, man. I got to get used to like this whole time thing, going from like the 1:00 game into Manhattan, then back home, and then doing a 9 a.m. pod. I don't know. We might have to push these back in the future to like 11. At least let me recuperate and get some energy back. I'm pretty sure I might still have some makeup on too, which is like a newfound thing from.
You're supposed to take your makeup off before you go to sleep, Connor. Come on.
You gotta get those wipes so you don't have to like wash your face. You just grab the wipe and wipe it off.
We do have his and hers makeup wipes, but I was so fried when we got hers from like Bree has them. She does another fun little purchase, like throwing makeup wipes on. She's like, "You can just use mine." She goes, "Just buy a little more." But I usually do remember like wipe it down, but I was so tired yesterday and I forgot I had it on and just passed out. And then I woke up today and I see it and I was like, oh man. So I wiped it down a little bit before we came on, but I know like when you sleep in it, like bad stuff can happen. Like you'll break out and all that other fun stuff. So that's not, I don't know. It's a whole new world for me. I will say like my makeup is really impressive. Like I will give like, I think we talked about this on the podcast before. Like I'll never give Bree shit for like taking a while to get herself ready. Cause I remember I do hits for SNY. And I woke up one morning before like a hit with SNY and I had like a pimple on my face. I can't remember if I told this story on here before, but I was like, damn, like, of course, the day I have my TV hit in the studio, I have to have like a pimple and it's going to suck. And I was like, and everything's 1080p now. So like everyone's going to see my pimple and everyone's going to make fun of me. Cause that's what goes on in my head is that everyone's going to care that I have a pimple on my face. So I'm going to make fun of me. So I go into the studio and like, I sit down with the makeup, lady and she starts like putting it on, blah blah blah, talking to me, all this stuff. She's like, "Okay, you're good." She turns me around, I see the mirror, pimple's freaking gone. I look gorgeous. I have like a nice tan, the pimple's gone. It's freaking awesome. I was like, man, we're set. This stuff's great. I came home and told Bria, I was like, I might start wearing this stuff more often. It made me look gorgeous.
Just wear it to Jets practice. The rest of the beat, they'll love that. All right, let's get into this game. And man, oh man, what a wild one it was. We'll start at the end, and that's probably what we're going to focus on for most of this podcast. It was crazy, and it wasn't just this game, but while the Jets-Raiders game was going on, you had the Jaguars and the Vikings late in that game, the Jaguars coming back, and it was just back and forth. The Jets took the lead. Then the Raiders fail on fourth down deep in Jets territory. It looks like it's over and the Jets are finally going to win, but lose that pick. The Jets end up punting it back. Meanwhile, the Jaguars at that point get the touchdown, 2-point conversion, and it looks like the Jets could win the game and still keep the number one overall pick. But then Derek Carr to Henry Ruggs, 3rd and 10 from the 46 with 13 seconds left. And the Jets lose 31-28. Then the Jaguars end up losing. So it had to happen in order to keep the Jets on pace for the Trevor Lawrence pick. And it all comes down to the call. Connor, Greg Williams sends everyone. And the stat was, and this was everywhere on Twitter, Jets the only team this season to send 8 or more pass rushers on a play in the final 30 seconds of a game. And it burned them. Your thoughts?
More so than that, man. I mean, ESPN went back actually 15 years, like ESPN stats and info. They went back 15 years and they were the only team that did it in that situation going back 15 years. There was something like, I know Rich tweeted it out. I think it's like 251 instances of like the similar situation with time, score, positioning on the field, down and distance, no timeouts. And literally the Jets are the only team to blitz everyone. I mean, I've said it before. I've been on this team. I've been on this beat since 2014 now. So it's been a minute. I've covered a lot of losses. I've covered a lot of bad football. I've covered really bad decision making. I know the one I always can think. I mean, there's several with the Gase regime, but also even going back to Todd Bowles, punting against the Steelers on 4th and 3 at midfield, down 8. I mean, there have just been times over and over and over again where it's been like, man, that was the wrong call. That was the wrong call. That was the wrong call. But on almost all of the calls, you could have a justifiable explanation that followed it to be like, this is why it happened. This is why they did this. And you're gonna be like, okay, I don't agree with it, but it was still wrong. But at least you could see their line of thinking. This decision by Greg Williams was one of the most ignorant, egregious, arrogant calls I've seen ever. Watching football as a fan, covering football as a profession, watching a ton of bad Jets football, this one takes the cake. This is a call that you don't make on the Pop Warner level. This is a call that you don't make on the JV and high school level. You don't make this call in high school. You make this in D3. You don't make this. No one else makes this call. And Greg Williams, the second G stands for genius. Greg Williams and his 40 years of coaching experience that he likes to remind everyone of so often, anytime you talk to him, goes out there and dials up an all-out blitz when you're leading by 4. There are 13 seconds left to play. Yes, the Raiders, and I'm going to say Oakland 100 times, but yes, the Vegas Raiders, I can't get used to that one. Yes, the Vegas Raiders are at midfield, but they have no timeouts. A tackle inbounds, the game is over. Sideline passes delay the inevitable. And you decide to run the only play that gives this team a semblance of a chance. You hang Lamar Jackson, Bryce Hall, and Marcus May in man-to-man coverage out to dry. You wouldn't let Marcus May try to cover Darren Waller, despite the fact not one single player on this Jets roster could stop him worth a damn. But on that final play, Marcus May was one-on-one with Hunter Renfrow, and Hunter Renfrow was open. Bryce Hall's guy was a little bit covered, but he ran an out route towards the sideline, and then Ruggs obviously beat Lamar Jackson. Lamar Jackson deserves no blame for this. He's an undrafted rookie forced into the starting lineup because of horrendous cornerback play, injuries, and obviously the release of Pierre Desir. Your coordinator in Greg Williams is supposed to set that player up to have success. He's supposed to set that player up to thrive. He's supposed to set that player up to do good things and make his life easier. Instead, he hung him out to dry. He put him in an impossible situation, a situation that they give Lamar Jackson credit because after the game, he took everything on the shoulders and shouldered the blame, which and he showed maturity-wise beyond his years. But Greg Williams failed him. And this kid's now going to see himself on SportsCenter, on NFL Network, on CBS, on NBC, on ABC, anywhere that shows game highlights. This kid's going to be the face of the Jets' ineptitude, and it didn't have to be that way. And honestly, I think the most pathetic aspect of that play, and one of the just like, you got to be kidding me aspects of that play, is that call came from Greg Williams. Adam Gase had nothing to do with it. No one else on the staff. That is a Greg Williams defensive call. Adam Gase had to stand in front of the media right after that devastating, demoralizing loss that very much looked like it fractured and broke the Jets. That the Jets finally, and we can talk about this in a second, but it looks like the Jets finally done. One that just totally broke that team's spirit. Adam Gase did not make the call. He had to stand up and answer for it. Marcus May did not make that call. He had to stand up and answer for it. Undrafted rookie corner Lamar Jackson did not make that call. He was hung out to dry by his defensive coordinator. He had to stand in front of the media and answered for it. All while Greg Williams got in his car and drove home. Like, it's unacceptable. And we're not going to talk to Greg until Friday. There's no chance that he's going to decide to talk to us before. He's going to give us some bullshit filibuster answer for 3.5 minutes about, we played hard, still 4 games left, really like the guy's effort. The BS he always talks about. And then we're going to ask about it. He's going to go, yeah, it was the wrong call, but we're on to next week. And he's going to hide from it. He can make this egregious, arrogant, ignorant, moronic defensive call. Something that is literally unprecedented in the NFL. That's how dumb this was. It's unprecedentedly dumb And I don't even know if those words have been combined before. They just were. And that's what just happened with Greg Williams. He's just going to sit back and be like, all right, well, you know what? Everyone's going to forget about it by next week. Adam Gase can take the heat. Marcus May can take the heat. Bryce Hall can take it. Lamar Jackson can take it. Jordan Jenkins can take it. But the guy who actually is responsible for it, the guy who's the reason why the Jets lost this game, he's going to hide. And I know, honestly, none of this matters because Jet fans are happy. They lost a game. Trevor Lawrence dream lives, and we'll break that down. But it's just, you talk about it, the Jets going to go 0-16. Is this team ever going to win a game? Is this going to be the year they get one? Are they finally going to, they have to win a game, right? They're 16. There's only been 2 teams before who went 0-16. Like, the Jets have to find one game. Like, there's going to be one on this schedule. When stuff like that happens, when you are literally looking at an opponent, you're leading by 4, 13 seconds left, opponent has no timeouts, they're at midfield, your defense is coming off a 4th down stop, all of the momentum, and that happens, that's when you know you're going 0-16, because that doesn't happen when you're 1-15. That doesn't happen when you're 2-14. That doesn't happen when you're 3-13. That when things like that happen, that means 0-16 is coming. Because there's no, oh boy, that was I'll tell you, I've never ever seen anything like that before.
Yeah, that was the one. This was the one that was going to be on the schedule. It feels like, Gase after the game said our guys work way too hard to go through this shit. Carr after the game on the Raiders side said, I can't believe they all out blitzed us. As soon as I saw it, I was thankful. I'm willing to put 95, maybe 98% of the blame on Greg Williams. I will say, though, they sent 8 at the quarterback, and some of them were obviously free when you send that number, and nobody got a pressure on him. So I'm going to save like 3% of the blame, not for the secondary, like you said, not at all. Those poor guys were left out to dry, but I'll put a little blame on the pass rush for not getting to Carr at all.
All of it was bad, man. I mean, it really was. It was all just so, like, the press box. I don't think too many people have ever been in a working press box before. Obviously, you guys have. You're in this field, but your fans and listeners, they haven't been in a working press box. It's generally, except for in Philadelphia for whatever reason, and this isn't a Bo joke. Like in Philly, randomly, it's like noisy in the Philadelphia press box. I remember like when I covered the Giants that year, like they told me, they're like, yeah, Philly's going to make some noise. And like, it's odd. Like they don't cheer, but they're just very like, ooh, like they react to the plays. It's different. It's like very unique. In almost every other press box, that's not the case. Like you always have the announcement, like this is a working press box. Please keep it low. So there's no cheering. There's no wow. I think the only other time that I've heard a noise like what happened when Ruggs caught that touchdown universally all the way down the line of reporters. And it's not nearly as packed as it usually is because there's no visiting media there. But the only time I've heard everyone go either, oh my God, holy crap, what did that just happen? Oh my God, or just gasp, like literally just gasps. The only time I heard that reaction was when Odell Beckham made his one-handed grab against the Cowboys. I was in the press box for that game too. And that was the one time where it was like, what? And then everyone turned around, goes up and looks at the replay and you start like, holy crap. Like that was such that play was such an insane play that Beckham made that it drew a reaction out of the reaction list. This play drew the reaction out of the reaction list. I mean, look, everyone in that locker room now, or in that media room, we all cover the Jets. Like we're used to bad football. We're used to this team sucking. When that play happened, when they lost it, like the play before, actually, when Carr missed shot on Nelson Aguilar, that was one where I remember I kind of was like, wow, he was there. Like I said, I sit next to Rich and I was like, he had him. I was like, he missed him. He had Aguilar. Aguilar was open. When Carr dropped back and the ball was in the air, I literally said out loud, oh my God, he's open. It was just like, I couldn't believe it. It was like, oh my God, he's open. And then he caught it. And as soon as he caught it, it was just like, oh, like everyone in the press was like, holy crap, they're going to win. Like the Jets are going to lose. Oh my God. Like it was unbelievable. And then Rich and I are sitting there. Rich goes, he's like, how did he get that open? And I was like, Rich, they all out blitzed. Greg blitzed everyone. And Rich goes, no, they didn't. I was like, yes, they did. He goes, there's no way they all out blitzed. I was like, Rich, I'm telling you, look. And I literally took my computer, I unplugged it, and I took my computer out. I was like, dude, look, everyone's going. They bring the 4, they bring the linebackers, they bring the 2. I was like, then it looks like it. Now, the one thing is, I saw this on Twitter. A lot of people said that Farley was a quarterback spy, that like Farley was quarterback spying. The safety was filling in for Bennett Jackson, who was filling in for Ashton Davis. Who was technically filling in for Bradley McDougald. But they said like, oh, Farley was quarterback spying. Farley wasn't quarterback spying. So Farley had Darren Waller. So it was man coverage across the board. So you're going to have the 3 wideouts taken by May in the 2 corners. And then Farley had Darren Waller, which it's like, what? That's really what you want? Like, what, dude? Like, this doesn't get any better. But when Carr adjusted the protection because the Jets all out blitzed, he kept Waller and a running back in the block. So it gave them 7 linemen. So he kept it in. So then Farley kind of was like a delayed. Like once he realized Waller wasn't coming out, then he was going to come in. But at that time, Carr ran up and flung it deep. But that reaction in the press box I'll always remember because it was like, holy cow. And it was honestly, man, it was the moment where it was like, you know, this team's now going 0-16. Like it's you just like things like that don't happen unless you're going 0-16. Like they're not going to beat either of these 2 LA teams. Maybe they've got a chance if the Browns like, you know, kind of revert, you know, if the Browns have things like wrapped up, like the Browns win 2 more, they're looking at 11-4. The Steelers already have the division clinched up and the Browns just kind of lay over and rest some starters or take their time in week 16. Maybe they lose that one or win that one, but the Patriots are in it. Patriots are going to beat them. The Browns are so much more talented. The Browns can beat them. Browns honestly could probably start their backups and beat them, but that game was amazing, man. And I think what's crazy, Tim, is like, this was the first time it really felt like they broke, you know, because at every point this season, I know we're going to focus on the chat's probably going a little crazy right now, but we'll focus a lot more on the future and like, look, who cares the Jets lost? Like you want Trevor Lawrence, like this now keeps the Trevor Lawrence dream alive. And I take full responsibility for this being the case because I tweeted the Trevor Lawrence dream is dead. So I think you can put that one on me. Like Connor.
Yeah, you actually tried to blame it on me, I believe.
Oh yes,
when I was celebrating Ty Johnson's 99 yards and touchdown.
Over 100 actually finished 102, I think.
Oh, 102. So yeah, and then you blamed it on me that was the reason that my Terps were the reason that the Jets weren't going to get Trevor Lawrence. But it all worked out, right?
That did. But like the thing though, Tim, is like during every one of these losses, like when the Jets lost to the Dolphins, you know, they get blown out by the Dolphins both times, or when they lost to the Broncos and Brett Rypien, you know, or when they lost to the Patriots and that was a really close one. The one thing that they always did after every game was like this team managed to find optimism. Like it didn't matter the record, 0-4, 0-5, 0-6, 0-10. They always managed to find some form of optimism. You know, like even last week's game to the Dolphins, like guys were upset, guys are angry, obviously. But they looked at it and they'd be like, there were 5 plays out there that we missed that we could have made. Guys that were open where we just made the wrong read. The guy dropped the pass. We just missed those plays. If we make those plays, the game changes. The momentum swings. We got a chance to win. Like we can get them next week, you know, or when they lost to Rypien, it was like, yeah, you know what? Yeah, we shouldn't have done that. But like, we just messed up a little bit here. We correct these things next week. You know, when they lost to the Dolphins the first time, it was like, well, Sam, we got Joe, we have our back. You know, everyone's hurt still. When they get healthy, we always have next week. You know, like the next week always brought optimism where it was like, we still got a chance to like turn this around. Like we still got the next week. We still have a chance. This was the first time where it was like, it felt like this week was the next week. Like this was when you have the lead, you make the 4th down stop, you've got the big plays, the run game's working, you have the lead. And for them to lose in the fashion that they lost, I think that's why you had Terrell Basham literally on a bench for 15 minutes after the game's over, just sitting there slumping. That's why you had Marcus May, like who I'm sure we'll talk more about him in like a second, because the fact that he spoke out on Greg Williams is like, holy cow, like we got to get to that. But you have Marcus May speaking out. You have Sam Darnold on the verge of tears. You have Adam Gase looking like he's about to cry. Like it's just, this was the first time where I kind of felt like players going this way, members of the coaching staff going this way. Adam Gase has no idea how to fix this. There's no next week optimism. It was like, this was our next week. We're going to go 0-16. The players seem to have realized it. And that's when things can get really ugly. Like they've been ugly. Now they're going to get really ugly.
All right, so let's talk about May, because you mentioned it. This is not the guy that comes out and speaks out against the coaching staff. He's kind of glue in that clubhouse. His teammates love him. He never says anything out of step, really, and he's the guy who calls out Greg Williams. And it's not like he went on a tirade. He did it in the way he would do it, right? It was kind of under his breath, like, it's got to be a better play there. So what happens now? Because here you have a guy who's a leader on this team, but he's a free agent at the end of the season. You have a coaching staff on the way out. So you would imagine in a different world, maybe he gets sat down for a game or something like that. I can't imagine that happens in this scenario where he's really one of your team leaders. And I would think everybody in that locker room, including maybe Adam Gase and some of the other coaches, kind of agree with what he said. So what happens here? And does this affect the possibility of him coming back next year, or with a new staff, does none of that matter?
Yeah, he's going to get a contract extension. Adam Gase's going to be Adam Gase's last dying moment is going to be that he's going to hand a 10-year contract extension. He's going to give all the money they had allotted for Jamal Adams to Marcus May after making those comments about Greg Williams. But no, man, like that's the crazy thing is I've covered every moment of Marcus May's career, literally every minute of Marcus May's professional career. I was there during his first media appearance at rookie minicamp, where he talked about meeting Jamal Adams for the first time and how they're going to be a good pairing. And I wrote a big feature on him for The Athletic a year ago, where he was the silent leader. When you had Jamal Adams screaming and yelling and demanding the attention, and I'm the captain and I'm the all pro and I'm the guy, everyone in the locker room, look at me, I'm Jamal Adams, look at me, look at me, look at me. The guy that everyone followed in that secondary was Marcus. They weren't following Jamal, or they were following Marcus. And Marcus didn't say much, but when he did speak, his words carried weight. And guys looked at him as the consummate professional, the guy who does everything the right way, and followed him as a result. He didn't have to say, I'm the leader. He didn't have to say, I'm the captain. His personality, his authenticity, the way that he went about his business made people want to follow him, made him believe him, made his Jets teammates vote him captain this year. Like, that's who he is. The fact that Marcus was so emotionally distraught. I mean, I talked to his mom, I talked to his brother, high school coach, college coach for this story. And like, everyone told me about how mild-mannered, even-keeled this guy is. That's why guys want to follow him. So the fact that that player felt so emotionally distraught after Greg Williams' decision and spoke out to us about it. Like, if this was Basham and Basham came out and said something, if this was Jordan Jenkins, who Jordan Jenkins can get emotionally hot, and he came out and said something, like, I would get it. I would be like, okay, those guys are like not hot-headed, but like they're heated in the moment. They're saying something that don't matter or that they don't mean. But for Marcus May, who is so calculated and so reserved at times and so thinking 3 steps ahead, not just one, for him to be so angry and to be pushed to such a limit that he comes out and, make no mistake about it, he began that press conference thinking in his head, I'm burying Greg. I'm burying Greg. I'm done. I'm burying Greg. I'm done with him. Because I asked the first question, like, what do you think of the play call? And he goes, we need to be in a better call. And when he said that line, the first thing on my head was, I must have heard him wrong. Like, that's not Marcus. Marcus isn't going to say that. That's a direct shot at the coordinator. He then doubled down 8 additional times. He did 4 in the first 2 questions. The entire conference, he went 8 additional times. He went so far as to say, yes, we as players need to execute, but you need to put us in a better position. Like, it was remarkable. And like you said, normally when a player does that, you can get fined for like conduct detrimental to the team. You can get ripped apart and destroyed by, the coaching staff in a meeting. You can get benched for a series or a couple quarters or something like that. Like, that's what happens usually when a player talks out with we were out coached, we were this, we were that. I don't know, like you said, Tim, how you do any of that to Marcus May, because that's not going to go over well in the locker room. The players will not respond very kindly to that. And more so than that, I don't think Adam Gase would allow it. I think Adam Gase would step in and say, F that, we're not benching this guy. Because like he just said what was on everyone's mind. And it was a breath of fresh air. But the fact that Marcus came out and said it carries so much more weight, because I would have in a million years, if you asked me what Jet defensive player, if you had asked me before the season, the Jets are going to go 0-16, What defensive player after a brutal loss to the Raiders speaks out? What defensive player calls out the coaching staff, specifically Greg Williams? I would have probably given you 37 other guys that were not Marcus May. Marcus would have been last on the list. Literally, the guy would have been last on the list. Maybe Neville Hewitt would have been above Marcus May because Neville Hewitt just doesn't talk. So I would probably put him above. Those would be the only two players that I would put above them. And the fact that it's remarkable, man. It is absolutely remarkable if that's it. And when Marcus is willing to crack like that, that's when you know that it's it. It's in the books.
All right, well, we have more to get to, but first, a message from DraftKings. DraftKings Sportsbook, America's top-rated sportsbook app, is wishing you the happiest of holidays. And to kick off the season of giving, DraftKings has new promotions and odd boosts every day this week. Lucky for us sports fans, there is an abundance of action taking place this week. Football teams are in the hunt to secure their place in the playoffs, while college basketball season is just getting underway. There's no better place to get in on all the action. If you haven't tried DraftKings Sportsbook yet, head over to the App Store now because you don't want to miss this. DraftKings Sportsbook is giving all new players the chance to earn a sign-up bonus up to $1,000 when signing up using promo code QUICK. DraftKings Sportsbook has endless ways for you to bet, from live betting to betting on your favorite players. They do it all. To celebrate this weekend's UFC 256, DraftKings is giving all MMA fans who sign up now the chance to triple their winnings when placing any bet on UFC 256. DraftKings is safe, reliable, and secure, making it easy for you to deposit and withdraw your money at your convenience. Download the top-rated DraftKings Sportsbook app now and use promo code QUICK when you sign up to get up to $1,000. That's code QUICK to get a deposit bonus up to $1,000 for a limited time only at DraftKings Sportsbook. Must be 21 or older, New Jersey only. Bonus comprised of a first deposit bonus. Deposit bonus requires 25 times playthrough. Restrictions apply. See DraftKings.com/sportsbook for details. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER.
A quick mention from Roman. It can be awkward or embarrassing to talk about erectile dysfunction. Usually people brush it off or blame themselves, but Roman is here to get you the advice that you want and the help that you need with no shame. With Roman, you can get a free online evaluation and ongoing care for ED, all from the comfort and privacy of your home. A healthcare professional will work with you to find the best treatment plan. If medication is appropriate, Roman will ship it to you. That's real medicine with free 2-day shipping. The whole process, straightforward, simple, and discreet. Getting started is simple. Just go to getroman.com/wait and complete an online visit. Erectile dysfunction used to be tough to talk about, but now there's Roman. Complete an online visit today to get connected with a doctor and take care of it. Just go to getroman.com/wait to get $15 off your first order of ED treatment, a free online visit, and free 2-day shipping. That's getroman.com/wait for $15 off your first order of ED treatment. Getroman.com/wait. All right, let's move on with this game a little bit. We've covered that end of the game, I think, but the other interesting thing, and we're seeing it right now in the chat, Connor, but I also was going through the comments of your game wrap up this morning on The Athletic.
What were they like? I haven't read them yet. Am I getting ripped there? Who's that one guy who comes in and like destroys me every comment? It's like it's actually like a funny thing. Have you guys seen him yet? I gotta find out who this dude is. Like I got not like search him out and find him, but there's this one guy. Every story I write, it doesn't matter if it's a long form feature. It doesn't matter if it's a column. It doesn't matter if it's a BS like head editor required. We need a shopping list story that like you just kind of write and file. Like, it doesn't matter what it is. This guy goes in there and just tears me apart. Like, I mean, he tar and feathers me in this comment section every time, to the point where like people like are going after him, like
Gase burner account.
No, it's not even that. It's like, yeah, it's like, what's wrong with, like, they're like, dude, what's wrong with you? Like, why do you hate Connor so much? And I'm like, dude, everything. Like at one point, I think, and it's crazy. It's like, we have editors, like they read over our stuff. I think there was like a misuse of like an apostrophe once. Like it was like the apostrophe instead of like Jets, it was like in front of the S instead of after it, like something small like that. Dude, he gave me like a 7-graph line, like 7-graph response about how my grammar sucks and I don't deserve this job. And if I'm not careful, I'm not going to have another job in this field. Like, I mean, this guy's like brutal. So
sounds like an English professor.
Oh yeah. Well, that's what everyone calls him. They call him like professor, whatever his name is. It's amazing. Like dude, it's every comment. Somebody like this guy's in every story. And you'll notice it because when you scroll down, he's the only comment that's like 7 paragraphs. Like he writes a novel. Like that's how much he hates me. He hates me so much that he writes a novel after he watches the Jets, does whatever he does for a living, and then is like, you know what? F this kid. I'm going to write a novel tearing him apart. I mean, it's amazing. I've never been hated so much. Never. It's really remarkable. It's really crazy.
What I was going to get to is the fact that the Jets suffer this just terrible loss, and the fan base, I mean, it's not everybody. I'm sure there's people that are upset today about this game, but for the most part, the fan base is celebrating the end of that game. A couple of comments from your story. Robert J said, can't really explain how good of a mood I've been in tonight. 0-12 never felt so good. And then Evan N, finally, a soul-crushing Jets loss we can feel good about. It's something else. And you could tell during the game, like there was almost a vibe watching the game that while the Raiders were driving down there, the Jets stopped them on 4th down. And Jets fans on Twitter were like, oh no. But then there was more hope for the Raiders. They win it, and Jets fans celebrate because the number 1 pick is still alive. I've never witnessed this while kind of following and covering a team in my life.
Yeah, I think it's because at this point, like, what are you rooting for a win for? You know what I mean? Like, it would be very different. Yeah. Yes, but it would also be very different if the Jets were like 0-15. They had a quarterback they took in this, like, say they were like 0-11 right now against the Raiders, but it was Sam's rookie year, and you still had like the quarterback you took and you just hadn't gotten his first win yet. That would be like it's the future. Like you've just let Sam get the win and you're watching your first win. Or it'd be different
do you want your team to go down as like one of the worst teams in history? Like joining that select group of,
I don't think it matters because
I think when you're the 3rd team to go in 0-16, who cares? Like you didn't want to be that first team to do it, but now,
I mean, getting 1 is still like, I don't know. Then you avoid that select group.
You say it like it's true because people will make fun of the Jets and people will poke fun of them and they're gonna be like, oh, your team didn't win. But honestly, does it matter if you get Trevor? Like if you get Trevor Lawrence and Trevor Lawrence is as good as advertised, you're talking about a generational player that is going to be a bona fide, no doubt, franchise quarterback for the next 15 years. If he's that good, the Jets are going to not be AFC East contenders, not playoff contenders. They're going to be Super Bowl contenders. So if you have to take one on the chin and be made fun of for a couple of months because you went 0-16, you think Brown fans give 2 shits that they went 0-16 right now?
Sure,
the team's 9-4.
Right.
Like they're going to playoffs for the first time in 13 years. They got a winning record for the first time in 13 years. You think they give 2 shits that they went 0-16? No, it got him Baker. They went through obviously the dysfunction of Freddie Kitchens, but now they got the head coach. They got the weapons. They got the offensive line, and they're not like a flash in the pan team. Like the Browns are set up for year after year continual success. The Jets if I told any Jet fan right now, I'd be like, hey, in 2 years, you're going to be 9-4, a couple games back of the Buffalo Bills, but the Bills are undefeated, but you're still going to the playoffs. You guaranteed a playoff spot. Looks like you got a franchise quarterback. You got the best rushing attack in the NFL, and you got 3 receivers and a young up-and-coming offensive line. You signing on for that for 0-16? Every single Jet fan in the country would sign that off. This team hasn't won a Super Bowl in 50 years. They haven't been to the playoffs in a decade. The last time this team had relevance, it was when Rex Ryan showed up and just randomly sparked everyone. Like that's the last time this team was relevant. And it's like, it's an embarrassment. Yeah, you kind of wish you would win. But at the same time, I think the vast majority of Jet fans can see the light at the end of the tunnel. That they were like, you know what? It's like kind of like Knicks fans in a bit. It's like, I don't want the just make me relevant. I don't want the, okay, yeah, we're going to get in as the 8th seed, but we're not going to go anywhere. I see it as like, Trevor Lawrence, yeah, we're 0-16. Yeah, it's embarrassing. Yeah, it will be the 3rd team that goes 0-16 ever, but we're going to get the generational quarterback. We're going to get the guy who is the best prospect since John Elway. We're going to get the elite, the guy who can run, the guy who can throw, the guy who's got the star-studded personality with the long golden locks. That's the light at the end of the tunnel. That's what we're going to get. And I think they see that. They wouldn't want, if they had Sam and they still like this was Sam's rookie year, no, they don't want 0-16. If this was, they had a quarterback they drafted late in the 1st round or in the 2nd round, and they saw him as like their future. No, you don't want 0-16. You want to see hope. You want to see future, but losing is the hope. Losing is the future. Losing gets you Trevor Lawrence. And I think when when the Jets scored that touchdown, or when the Jets scored with Ty Johnson to take the lead, and then the Raiders went 4 and out, or not 4 and out, they obviously drove down the field, but when they had the 4th down stop deep inside Jet territory, there was like the feeling of this has all been for nothing. Because it's not like you don't want the Jets to win. It's that you don't want the previous 11 losses to be for naught. Because if the Jets win a game, that's what happens. Like all of this loss, all of this embarrassment, all of like this just taking it on the chin week after week after week, being a laughingstock made fun of on SNL, like all of that crap is worth it because you endured that for Trevor Lawrence. But if you win a game, if you beat the Raiders here and the Jaguars keep losing, if you beat the Browns at some point, if you manage to beat the Seahawks, that's not happening. So actually, don't even talk about that. If you beat the Patriots in week 17, if you win a game and it takes you out of the Lawrence sweepstakes, and yeah, Fields still might be good, or that kid from BYU, but if you lose the Lawrence sweepstakes, it's like, it's just another punch. It's like, yeah, okay, we won a game, but like, yeah, we're not 0-16. Congrats. Now we're 1-15. But we're 1-15 and we don't, everything else is now meaningless. All of those losses didn't mean anything. It didn't help us. It didn't make us better because we're not getting Lawrence. So I think that's what the vast majority of Jet fans see, is they are focused on the light at the end of the tunnel. They want the light at the end of the tunnel, and they're willing to be embarrassed and lose and all that stuff as long as they get Lawrence. Because I keep calling people about this kid, man. I keep calling people about him. And everyone I talk to, pro personnel directors, general managers, scouts, coaches, agents, no one has a red flag. No one said, like, the one red flag I heard was from a director of player personnel, and he said he doesn't slide. That's it. The only red flag of Trevor Lawrence is he doesn't slide in college. That's it. That's all. It's not accuracy. It's not reading a defense. It's not turnovers. It's not like Sam coming out of college. It was the turnovers in his throwing motion. Like, he didn't know if he had to keep 2 hands on the ball because he fumbled all the time. And it was the decision making. It was that he struggled. Josh Allen, massive work in progress. Carson Wentz, can he make the jump from North Dakota State to the pro? Oh, none of it. It's he doesn't slide. That's it. That's the only mishap. But not can he read a defense. He can't slide. And he'll learn that in the pros. He'll take his first shot and he'll be like, I'm effing done with that. I'm sliding. I'm getting my ass down now. But like, that's it. And 0-16, yeah, it's embarrassing, but you're going to have the last laugh. If the Jets get Trevor Lawrence, you're talking about a team. I'm dead serious. You are talking about a team that if they manage to get Trevor Lawrence, this team has the chance to be a Super Bowl contender in 3 years. Think about that. The New York Jets, absent the playoffs 10 years, haven't been to a Super Bowl in 50 years, haven't won a Super Bowl in 50 years, have not been a legitimate dominant force in the AFC since the 2009-2010 seasons, a Super Bowl contender in 3 years with one of the best quarterbacks in the NFL under center. That's the vision in their head. That's what they see. And they don't give a shit about 0-16. They don't care about all the losses and the embarrassment and Adam Gase this and Greg Williams that and all that. Because if you get Lawrence, that's the future you're looking at. You were looking at Super Bowls. You were looking at playoffs every year. You were looking at divisional titles. You were looking at making the Bills wish they were the Jets, and everyone and the Giants looking up at them as the big brother. Like, it's like that, like that's what can happen with Lawrence. And that's why you're willing to take 0-16, because that's the future. Like, I tweeted it during the game, man, like, it's going to be interesting to see how teams defend Jamison Crowder next year when you can't double him because you got to deal with Allen Robinson. Look at those options for Trevor Lawrence. That's the possible future for this team. That's the vision. You got a competent general manager. He's going to pick the next head coach. You're going to have Trevor Lawrence under center. You're going to have weapons. You're going to have all of these draft picks that Douglas has compiled. That's a future. Like, that's a real live actual future for this team. And yeah, does 0-16 suck? Yeah. Is it embarrassing? Yes. But like, who cares? Because you'll get the last laugh.
Yeah, and if the Jaguars would just win one more game, I think all Jets fans would be fully geared to win one game and avoid it and still get the number 1 pick. But the Jags seem like they're in this to win it, just like the Jets, to get that number 1 pick. All right, let's talk about some of the other positives, because I feel like we got a good vibe going now as we talk to the future and good stuff. So Frank Gore, the concussion early in the game, second play, he leaves the game. As far as this game goes, I mean, obviously we wish well to Gore and hope that he gets past everything to deal with the concussion quickly. But as far as this game goes, it was a blessing in disguise. Ty Johnson, 22 carries, 102 and a touchdown. Josh Adams, who I'm just going to say, Josh Adams does not look like a running back in any way. I'm not sure why He just looks like
Runs
a
weird,
receiver or a tight. I don't know what it is. He doesn't look like a running back, but man, he ran it well. 8 for 74. We did see a glimpse late in the game why Adam Gase likes to play Gore, because these guys don't pick up the blitz as well. Sam Darnold just got blasted on a blitz up the middle. But this offense was more entertaining, Connor, with these two young running backs getting the carries. And I mean, the Raiders' defense against the run isn't electric. It's not top of the league, but it's also not bad. And the Jets made them look bad. I mean, it was fun to watch. I mean, even for non-Terps, even for people that didn't go to Maryland like Marissa, it was fun watching Ty Johnson run on Sunday.
You know, I've been tweeting from Connor's account, and I'm about to like promote this part of the segment. And I'm
like 12 turtle.
I'm really tempted to use a turtle emoji.
Everyone knows you do that. Everyone knows you do the tweeting. Like that's the funny thing. You throw a turtle. It's your account for now. It's your account to promote the show. I do have to throw before we move on to that, Tim. The one comment, it's actually from my buddy in college, Joe Lacalandra, big diehard Jet fan. I think he actually made a huge point, a really, really good point, is that if the Jaguars had won a game, all of this changes. Fans will root against 0-16. I think that's right. I think that's true, because that's the other thing is like, if the Jaguars were 3-3, the Jaguars had 3 wins right now, and the Jets had like a big cushion. Yeah, you want them to win, because then it's like you want to see Mims go off for 150 and 3 touchdowns. You see that, like, because a loss or a win costs you Trevor Lawrence, they don't care. As soon as a win doesn't cost you Trevor Lawrence, like if the Jaguars win 2 and you have a 2-game buffer, yeah, you want to get a win before the end of the season, because then it's the best of both worlds. You brought up the running games. I think what was maddening about the running game is that, like, this is this crap we've been talking about all year. This is why we said give P. Ryan the ball. This is why we said give Johnson the ball. This is why we said feature Josh Adams. This is why we said enough with Frank Gore, because like Frank Gore is a tremendous leader in the locker room. Frank Gore is a tremendous mentor. He's a very good third down back in terms of like, he can pass block. He's great in pass pro, and also his decisiveness is usually always good for 2 or 3 when the run blocking doesn't get blown up. So he's a good short yardage back, but he should be limited to like 5 touches a game, because the Jets don't need 2 or 3 yards at a time. They don't need veteran. They need speed and playmaking and game changing ability. And you saw Ty Johnson's speed is an X factor. Josh Adams' speed is an X factor. So get those guys the touches, because are they perfect? No. Are they as fundamentally sound as Frank Gore? No. Are they going to make more mistakes than Frank Gore would? Yes. In terms of mental mistakes, absolutely. You saw it, as you mentioned, on the play where Sam got crushed and looked like he almost hurt his foot because Ty Johnson just didn't pick up the blitzing linebacker who ran right by his face. Correct. But you'll get more from them than what you do Gore, because you got the chance of something happening every time he touches it. Whether it was Adams going for 25, Johnson going for 16, like you have a chance with those 2 guys. Do I think there's actually a future with them in the backfield? Absolutely not. I mean, maybe the 2 come back, but I mean, if you're going into next season with P. Ryan and Ty Johnson as your 2 starting running backs, like, here's a problem. Like, the Jets are going to look for a veteran and another guy to draft that has like a lot more upside. But seeing these 2 guys run rampant was like head meet wall, because it's like, this is what we've been asking for like 12 weeks. Like, enough with Gore. Get the young guys in. Get Bell the ball. Get P. Ryan the ball. Get Johnson the ball. Let's see what these guys can do. And to like, finally they get their opportunity. Like, finally, and against a playoff defense too in the Raiders. Like, finally they get their opportunity to play, because Frank Gore has a concussion in the first possession of the game, and the guys go off for 200 yards. Like 104 for Johnson, the first 100-yard rusher in Adam Gase's tenure as the Jets coach. It was almost 200-yard rushers. Josh Adams, as you said, with 74. Both guys averaging, I think, obviously Adams is over. Adams is obviously over 5 years. He's averaging 9.3. Ty Johnson averaged 4.7. Like, those are numbers we haven't seen since Chris Ivory and Isaiah Crowell with the Dude Wipes game, where he pretended to celebrate with a wiping his butt against the Browns. I mean, that's amazing. Now, the one thing that I will say that I believe, truthfully, that I believe Jet fans should take more optimism in and feel even better about than because again, like Ty Johnson going off for 150, it's okay. Like, all right, fine. Like, Ty Johnson just ran for 150 yards. Like, it's cool. But at the same time, the Jets have no ties to him. Like, okay, maybe he's on the team next year, but he's like a situational player. Like, that doesn't really matter. It's where the Jets were getting the chunks of these yardage. Every single time the Jets needed a play, whenever the Jets needed yards, whenever the Jets wanted to run the ball, they ran behind number 77, who was standing next to number 67. Pat Elflein, the guy they got from the Vikings, Mekhi Becton, obviously, who we've talked about ad nauseum on this show. That's who the Jets ran behind. Those 2 dudes were bulldozers in the run game. I mean, the holes that they were opening up from the first quarter through the fourth, it was remarkable. And I know Becton's going to get some heat because for like basically the first time this season, he was beat for sacks. Like Farrell kind of rookie, he took advantage of the rookie for the first time, you know, and he made him miss, and he got through Darnold for 2 sacks. Darnold has to have better pocket awareness, but the sack force fumbles, those are on Becton. He's got to be better. He got victimized by somebody cutting outside of him and wasn't able to push him out, and then got victimized on a stunt, all that stuff, whatever. But in the run game, I mean, those two guys, 67, 77, they opened hole after hole after hole. And 67 can be a part of this team moving forward. 77 is a franchise left tackle, all-pro player. He's going to be on this team moving forward. To have those two guys paving the way for Johnson and Adams, that is more important than having Johnson and Adams run for 200. It's how they ran for 200. It was right behind Becton, and it was right behind Pat.
Yeah, impressive stuff from the offensive line. The other impressive thing we can talk about that I think this will be like the third straight week that we give a gold star to Quinn Williams, who just again, he's just become a beast and a game changer on the defense. And this time against, like you said, a playoff caliber team. It's just play after play. You see him in the backfield, disrupting the run, doing the things that Pro Bowl type players do in the interior defensive line.
I was a Quinn Williams. What is it's a positive when you stand for someone, STAN. That's positivity, yes, right? Yes. So what's the antonym
Hater?
Of stan?
Hater? I don't know.
There's a word though, I think. It's like they use it. I stand for so and so, and then there's the opposite of stan, and I forget what it is. Like, I don't know, whatever. I'm way too tired to think of it, and my brain's already like working it. My brain will work at my brain at full capacity ain't all that great. Right now we're at like 60%. So I'm trying to power through here, and we're almost out of coffee. But I was not a Quinn Williams fan. I felt during the draft last year, the Jets should have gone with Josh Allen. That was the better player. That they had a better defense with Henry Anderson and Leonard Williams at defensive tackle, and then the Steve McLennan in the middle. But Foley Fatukasi's development has been like, where the hell did this guy come from? That defensive line, Josh Allen outside. Was Josh Allen going to be a better player than Quinn Williams? I didn't know. No scout told me that. No. The Jets obviously didn't feel so. A bunch of other people around the league didn't feel so. They thought Quinn Williams was, outside of Bosa, the best defensive player in the draft. But I thought the Jets defense as a whole was better with Leonard, Henry, Steve McLennan, or Foley, and then Josh Allen outside. What Quinn Williams has done this year, man, it's insane. Like, he's making the impact that Leonard Williams was supposed to make. He's making the impact that Sheldon Richardson was supposed to make. He's making the impact that Muhammad Wilkerson was supposed to make every other year, aside from the 2 10-sack seasons he had, after his career kind of went off the rails when he hurt his foot and got paid. I've never seen an interior defensive lineman, and I'm not gonna put Aaron Donald in the mix because Aaron Donald's an alien. He is not a normal human being. So like you can't. It's almost like just put Aaron Donald out there and then assess everyone else. So I haven't seen a defensive lineman in his second year make the impact that Quinnen is making right now. I mean, every play, whether it's the run, whether it's he's just a disruptive offense wrecking force in the middle of the Jets defense. I mean, 4 tackles, a sack, 3 quarterback hits, and a tackle for loss. He's got 6 sacks on the season now. He's got close to 40-something tackles. I mean, he's everywhere. I mean, the play which was more impressive than his sack, more impressive than the disruption he had where he beat 3 people and then got in Derek Carr's face to force a throwaway and a pass out of bounds to set up a Raider punt. More impressive than any of that was when he lined up as if you're looking from the offensive perspective, so you're looking from like behind the quarterback. He went from the left defensive tackle spot in a hybrid 43. The Raiders ran a stretch play to the outside. Quinnen went down the line of scrimmage from his left defensive tackle spot, so across one defensive tackle, across the defensive end, to make the tackle a big hit on the running back after 2 yards. Like, what 300-pound, 34 defensive end has sideline to sideline speed? Like, forget what 34 defensive lineman has speed, let alone sideline to sideline speed. The ability to go from left defensive tackle all the way across the field to like rock the running back 2 out of bounds. Like, that was ridiculously impressive. So he's not just a pass rusher. He's not just a freak in that sense. He is a guy that is literally he's unreal. Like he's playing at a Pro Bowl level, and it's a shame because the Jets are 0-12 and the defense doesn't really get a lot of praise. And I don't know if Quinn Williams is going to get the Pro Bowl votes he deserves. I mean, he's playing at a Pro Bowl. He should be on the Pro Bowl roster this year. He should be a Pro Bowl. At worst case, he should be on an alternative. I don't know if he'll get there because he missed time and like he doesn't have the name say right now. And the Jets are losing so many games, he's not getting enough publicity. But he's playing out of this world. And to think that this Jets defense next year could have Kyle Phillips or Jabari Zuniga on one side, Foley in the middle, Quinnen on one, and then you put like Matt Judon next to him or somebody they draft with that Seattle first round pick or in the second round pick next to Quinnen. I mean, you're literally talking about like I said, a game wrecking force. Like he's doing things as a 34 defensive end that I didn't know 34 defensive ends not named Aaron Donald could do. And it is remarkable to watch. It's fascinating to watch. You're seeing his confidence come. I mean, at one point he was jawing with the Raiders sideline. Like that's the other thing we haven't seen from Quinnen too much this year. He was literally during a TV timeout, like looking at the Raiders sideline and just laughing. And I wonder if it was because the Raiders loved Quinnen coming out of the draft and they actually talked to Mike Maccagnan about trading up, but Maccagnan obviously, like he always did, he was timid and didn't get the deal done. But Quinnen was like literally talking crap to the Raiders sideline and laughing at the Raiders sideline and then going out making plays. I mean, he's everywhere. And to see a guy making plays in the run, making plays in the pass, getting to the quarterback and sacking him, but also disrupting the pass anyway, even when he can't get there. Teams are doubling him, doesn't matter. Teams tripling him, doesn't matter. Guy's still making plays. And you want a hat hanging player to hang your hat on, it's him, man, because he looks legit. And I didn't see it last year. I didn't see it the first couple games this year. But he has come alive the second half of this season, and it's amazing to watch. It really is amazing to watch. He is developing to quite an impressive football player.
Yeah, he is certainly. We've had this has been quite a positive seeming podcast, despite a heart-wrenching loss by the Jets on Sunday. Really something. But the future is what it's all about for sure. The future directly for this team is a matchup with the Seahawks coming up on Sunday, and that means Jamal Adams out in Seattle. That should be an interesting one. We'll see if Jamal speaks up this week about taking on his old teammates, and we will preview that one coming up later this week, probably on Thursday. Go to theathletic.com/the Can't Wait podcast. We have a special going right now for the holidays. If you buy a subscription, you can then gift one. You get the gift one for free. So buy one, gift one at theathletic.com/the Can't Wait podcast. Follow us on Twitter. Connor's at Connor_J_Hughes. Tim M. McMaster for me, and Marissa's at Marissa